wait a minute, wait. The servants have got it better in my dad's house than this. I would rather go home and be a servant to my father and submit myself under that than stay here like this. He transformed his thinking. He corrected his thinking. He realigned himself with the will of his Father, with the will and the understanding and the explanations of the name that he grew up under. Rocky mentioned when he first started speaking that, and I'm not going to get this right because he said a lot after that, about family and the things that we step on and we damage. Okay, the main thing that happened is we walked away. We were trained. We grew up in a world where, because of past sins, not necessarily by us, but by others, by Israel, by the original Yisrael, they taught the world not to know the Father's name. They stepped on the family name, they betrayed the family name, and did not give credence to the family name. Rock, when you were growing up, if somebody badmouthed your last name, what would happen?
Ooh, that would have been bad.
Caesar?
Fighting words.
Jonathan? Fighting? I mean, I got 4 brothers. Okay, you spoke against you spoke against the Pratt name. We were going to war.
Yep.
Now we've got full evidence of that in scriptures. That is veracity. That's true, and sometimes it was allowed. There were times when Jacob or Israel didn't allow it, but there were times when Yah says it's necessary. So now the name we're supposed to be defending, is that supposed to be Yisrael? Or is it supposed to be Yahweh? Because what's our name? We are adopted. We are adopted into the name of our Father.
Yes.
Everybody hears of the ugliness of the term anti-Semitism. Okay? But the word Semite comes from the term Shem in Hebrew, which is the word for name. So, if we are taught to use foreign terms, pagan terms, God, or whatever, we don't know the Father's name. We've been taught to willfully reject the Father's name throughout the last 7,000 years of human history. Okay? Now all this grows up in our DNA. Mentally, physically, the whole 9 yards. We are taught against it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the world outside this world, or outside this room rather, would rather avoid dealing with the topic of the name. If you don't have the name, then there's no reason to fight. That's the world's thinking. They've been trying to wipe out the name. Hasatan has been trying to wipe out the name since the garden. So what's in the name? Yes, you can say a rose by any other name is still a rose. But Elohim by any other name is not Yahweh.
Right.
And it's that process of adoption. It's that process of mishpachah. It's that process of being willing to emulate what our Father taught us, what we can learn back or relearn through the process of transformation. Because again, until we walk in here, until we walk into His presence, we are all prodigals, regardless of the level. We are all outside of His will because we are outside of the knowledge base that He sent the Nevi'im, the prophets. He sent His Son. He had the Word written so that we could maintain that knowledge. so that we can hold on to it, so that we can study to show ourselves approved and be in relationship with our Father, who is an ass kicker. Now, Yahweh has never lost a fight.
That's right.
Yahweh has never backed down from a fight. Okay? It may have appeared that he did when he allowed Yeshua to be nailed to the torture stake. But there's no two ways around it. He raised Yeshua from the dead. Yeshua went to hell, took hell captive, came out victorious. There's no two ways around. It cannot be argued that we are supposed to live after his identity, to live after his identity, to live after what he practiced.
Behold the hand, behold the nail.
Behold the hand, behold the nail. That blew my mind.
Yes.
Okay, now,
I think it blows everybody's mind.
behold the hand, behold the nail, behold the name.
Yes. That's
Now,
it. That's it.
There's no, man cannot make this stuff up. We are not smart enough to make this stuff up. We can corrupt it, we can pervert it, but we can't make it up.
Hallelujah.
So there is power in the name. There's only power in the name. That power is miraculous. That power is scary. That power should be enough to cause you to fear and drive you to your knees in a desire to transform, so you don't have to give up the inheritance that the adoption into the family provides you. And again, adoption does not happen. Adoption into the Mishpachah, into Yisrael, does not happen unless there is an awareness and an understanding that adoption does not happen outside of the law.
So let's look at a significant difference, because those steps are up behind you. So, Jonathan, can you go up there, and because you read the 12 love bites, notice in every step, do I have the word Yahweh in ancient Hebrew in every one of the love bites?
And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
More than that. One.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You're right. You come to the right. I'm sorry.
And then Yahushua.
Okay. And then how many times is the word pointing it back to love in those bites?
I believe almost everyone.
Everyone?
4, 5, 6. Yes, everyone except for the forgiveness. Yeah, but it's either Yahweh's name or love is in each step.
Okay.
Regardless.
And is Yahweh love?
Of course.
1 John 4:8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole point is, all I've done, as I was directed by Yahweh to do, in rewriting the steps in, I believe, the most ancient Hebrew or Ivrai type version, Aramaic type version, is to make sure that the real authentic name that Scribe just talked about was in those steps. If you look at the ones up there, we see God, 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 God all the way through.
As we understand it.
Or they just say Him, right?
As we understand it.
As we understand Him. So again, you can pray for understanding, right? But what if you don't get it? What if you don't really have the Ruach, so you don't really come into an understanding? You get confused instead of clear on things. Yes?
Well, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Basically, as some person might understand him as something.
Oh, you got to put the microphone by your wife. I'm sorry.
Sorry. One person might understand him as something completely different than what another person understands him as.
Yep.
And it just, as we understand him is not a clear, concise thing of what these steps show.
Right.
The transform recovery steps show.
And let's face it, with everything Kim just said, everything Yehukanan just read is accurate. Let's look at that under the weight of the prodigal son. Okay, now he's out in the world that is already denying the name Yahweh exists.
Right.
If they knew he was a Hebrew or a Jew, they probably would have tried to kill him.
Right.
Or at best, convert him to their way of thinking. So he's out in the nations where Israel was told not to associate.
Or for that matter, kick him out of the club.
Yeah.
Because people have been run out of this club because of their faith over the years. And this is what I'm saying is the great breakthrough that we have right now is that people are actually now not getting kicked out of the club. We're being welcomed in to actually have our faith-based meeting. And they know it's going to be a faith-based meeting. I told them, we're not religious. What we do is we follow the way, the truth, and the life that's in Yeshua. We follow the Messiah from 2,000 years ago, and everything that's written in the Scriptures, we stand on that, and we believe the 12 steps have come from the Scriptures.
Now, has Yahweh changed? Has the Word changed? Or is Yahweh changing the Word? Or the world, rather?
I think he's changing the world, and what's happening is because we're coming into the end times, it says at the end he's going to pour out his Ruach upon all flesh. And I think as the Ruach is being poured out right now, more and more people's hearts are softening because they're seeing how evil this world is and politics and everything else, and they're just going, wait a second here. And I think Yahweh's putting us in a position where we got to take a stand. We've got to make up our mind, right? Which way am I going to go? Right? Am I going to continue to wave my fist at him like I used to? Or am I going to submit? Am I going to surrender and say, it's putting my life into your hands? So hallelujah. I think this has been a great first half. I'm going to go